In this video, we're going to tell you how Payton Pritchard went from a high school legend to NBA powerhouse. Payton Pritchard first started his basketball career in high school. He was only 14 years old and 5 foot 9 inches, but had an insane work ethic and determination for the game. Despite his size, his practice paid off for him during high school, as he led West Lynn to the school's first championship in 16 years. Pritchard wasn't stuffing the stat sheet during his freshman year, but that was mostly because he's a team player. As their head coach said, Pritchard sacrificed a lot of his game to help out the other players around him, who happened to be older and more talented players at the time. His coach also went so far as to label him as the team's most important player that season, although saying he wasn't their MVP. However, the next 3 years with the school, Pritchard exploded onto the scene. During his sophomore season, he averaged 18 points and 7.5 assists per game while acting as the primary ball handler for the team. The school ended the year with a 24-4 record while playing against very tough competition throughout the entire year. West Lynn was eventually invited to partake in the Les Schwab Invitational, which is a coveted high school tournament that features a ton of prominent names and top-notch talent. Pritchard and West Lynn found themselves one-on-one with Okafor and Whitney Young, and were trailing by 1 point with under 10 seconds remaining in the contest. Pritchard was obviously the main ball handler for this possession as he scanned the court before driving into the lane. He lost the handle for a second before snagging it back at the free throw line and flipping up a shot that ended up turning into a game-winning score. His constantly improving play and the school's success had given him a number of opportunities to jump into at just 16 years old. He was personally invited to try out for the USA Basketball Under-17 team that was stationed in Colorado Springs, which is an incredible honor. However, he was unable to make the roster, creating a chip on his shoulder for the next few years. Interestingly enough, Pritchard was cut along with other future NBA players such as De'Aaron Fox, Thomas Bryant, Dennis Smith Jr., and Malik Monk. Meanwhile, the players that did make the roster were Jason Tatum, Terrence Ferguson, and Harry Giles, 3 more future NBA players. While Pritchard was knocked down, he was definitely not out. West Lynn was invited to the Les Schwab Invitational yet again during his junior year and found themselves one-on-one with Wheeler High School, the team that boasted the now Boston Celtic Jaylen Brown. Wheeler focused their entire game plan around shutting down Pritchard throughout the contest and forcing their role players to knock down key shots to win the game. West Lynn did just that, as Pritchard was able to avoid double teams and protect the basketball while finding open men behind the arc for easy 3-point opportunities, and they knocked them down, leading them to an 8-point victory. By the time his senior season was all wrapped up, he was averaging 23.6 points, 5.1 rebounds, 6.8 assists, and 3.1 steals per game. The school picked up 2 more 6A state titles, and he earned 2 more 6A Player of the Year awards, along with 2 Oregon Gatorade Player of the Year awards. Pritchard was able to win almost every award imaginable for a high school player. He made a name for himself at West Lynn, with everybody focusing in on his basketball IQ, vision, and leadership. But shockingly enough, Pritchard wasn't done with his high school days just yet, as he participated in the Washington vs. Oregon All-Star Game. Pritchard was on the bench for the majority of the second quarter, a quarter that Oregon would have loved to have back as they were down by 20 points by halftime. Pritchard, being the competitor that he is, stepped up and didn't exit the game throughout the entire second half. He posted a stat line of 43 points, 15 assists, 8 rebounds, and 5 steals in only 36 minutes to lead his team to a victory. This giant game, along with his other numerous awards and state championships, was enough to make him a basketball legend in the Oregon area as well as a legend at West Lynn High School. Shortly after being named a top prospect heading into his college years, he decided to stay in the area and play for the Oregon Ducks. His freshman season wasn't much to write home about, as he played his normal role as floor general and dished out assists as much as he could. Oregon ended up going 31-4 that season, with Pritchard cracking himself into the starting lineup by the 5th game that year. He had a few big games, along with an important effort play that led to a teammate hitting a game-winning shot. Fast forward a year, and he was named to the All-Pac-12 second team by the end of his sophomore season, leading Oregon in scoring and assists per game with 14.5 and 4.8. Out of all the returning players for Oregon that year, he led in every statistical category except blocks. That level of play was enough to get him selected to the 2017 USA Men's Under-19 World Cup in Cairo, Egypt. He helped Team USA to a big FIBA U19 World Cup bronze medal and got himself named to the World Cup All-Star team, averaging 9 points and 3 assists per game. He then opted to stay for a third season at Oregon and was named the Pac-12 Tournament Most Outstanding Player while leading the nation in total minutes played with 1,349 in 38 games. He had multiple breakout games against teams all over the country in both the NCAA tournament and in the regular season. He was improving all over the floor, and his leadership was still unmatched on their roster. However, he did something that not many NBA players did, and he stayed at Oregon a fourth year. His season was so fantastic during his senior year that he got what seems like a million awards. Let's go over them from the top. The Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year Award, Lute Olson Award Player of the Year, Pac-12 Player of the Year, All Pac-12 First Team, Naismith Trophy finalist, First Team All-America, and was named as a finalist for the Wooden Award National Ballot. By the time this season was wrapped up, he had scored in double digits in 37 out of his last 38 games played with the team, leading the team all over the floor and picking up win after win. While many NBA analysts believe that it's wrong to stay the full 4 years at college, Pritchard was able to prove how it could benefit you. Analysts think that it shouldn't take a player 4 full years to develop at the college level in order to get your skills ready for the big league, but that isn't always the case. The Boston Celtics took the leap on Payton Pritchard with the 26th overall pick in the first round of the 2020 NBA Draft, although he wasn't Boston's first selection despite being a first-round draft pick, as the team opted to go with Aaron Naismith with the 14th overall selection. Naismith hasn't made that much of an impact yet this year, but with Kemba Walker struggling with injuries, Pritchard's experience has allowed him to step up and contribute right away. He's seen the court in 9 different games this year and averages 22 minutes per game, along with 8.3 points and 3.2 assists per contest, including a huge 23-point outburst in the team's victory over the Toronto Raptors, a game that saw him take 8 3-point attempts while knocking down 6 of them. He may not put up numbers that efficient every night, but his tough and gritty style of play has allowed him to take over the hearts of Celtics fans around the world as he quickly becomes a fan favorite. Pritchard is the perfect role player and backup guard to have on your roster if you're looking to win an NBA championship. He's been able to carve out a solid 6th-man role with the team despite them having a ton of talent across their roster due to his intelligence and feel for the game after playing 4 years in college. He's also an underappreciated 3-point shooter, knocking down triples at an efficient rate so far this year. The 3-point shot has become a very valuable asset to many teams as the years go by, and if he's able to shoot at an efficient clip, then he could turn himself into a powerhouse in the NBA, making him a coveted prospect for any roster. With so many different injuries across the Celtics roster this season, Pritchard has been drafted into the perfect position to let the league know how talented he is. Not only is he becoming a fan favorite, but he's proving himself to be a fantastic scorer and floor general, something that a lot of teams are looking for in a young player like himself. His scoring is definitely needed after the team has dealt with multiple injuries and the loss of Gordon Hayward in the offseason, leaving a lot of points up in the air to be scored. But if Pritchard is able to step in for the remainder of this season and continue to put up the numbers that he is right now, we could be looking at a future star in this league. Pritchard could easily find himself as the main floor general on a championship contending team down the line, and I don't believe that it would surprise many people, given his work ethic and determination. So for all the people out there that have never even heard of this West Linn and Oregon Duck legend, I would start doing some research on him before he becomes a star in this league. It won't be very long now. Click on the video that appears on your screen now to keep watching our content.